Wake up.
Yo, what up? This is B-Nick09, and I'm back. It's been a while since the last video I dropped, but I'm here now with another continuation of What if Shenmue had an arcade mode? So in today's episode, I'm breaking down all the characters I selected from Shenmue 1 all the way to 3. Although we can't play with them in real life, instead, we're just gonna pretend. That's right, I'm putting this all together for the fans and the people that love Shenmue. If you are a stranger to it, you could get back to me on it or stay put and enjoy the presentation. Trust me, you're gonna like how I put this together. And with that being said, let's begin. Ryo Hazuki, the main character. I like this guy. He's chill, doesn't talk much, but he's not antisocial. One thing that stands out about him is he's not like your everyday main character. He's not hyperactive, he doesn't have a bad behavior that needs improvement, and he's not a nerd. He's just a regular young man that has friends, talk to girls, likes to hang out in arcade places, and he enjoys reading his manga, but you know what I'm talking about. The game made this character relatable to the modern day youth today. I guess that's why I like him so much. How I feel about him as the only playable character? Well, his moves are pretty basic to where I can literally imitate it. Unless he's doing flip kicks and stuff, then forget it. I'm not that inspired. Iwao Hazuki, father of Ryo Hazuki. Unfortunately, he dies in the beginning of the story. But at least we know that he was a master of martial arts who trained his son, Ryo. He taught him a technique called the Hazuki style, after his last name. It makes me wonder, what if there was a match between Iwao versus Ryo, and words are exchanged between the two before and after the fight? Most of all, what if Iwao and every character I selected had a hyper combo? I know for sure the fans would be excited. Also, if Iwao was a playable character, his moves would probably be similar to Ryo, but 10 times better. That's why I choose Iwao Hazuki. Lan Di, the main antagonist. This is the guy who started everything. The main plot twist. I don't even think about how strong he is, or what if I can't play with him. Maybe it's because I don't get to fight him in the game and only see him in the beginning of the story. That's it. But all I know is that this guy was comfortable standing straight with both arms behind his back while fighting a martial arts teacher. Therefore, I knew the main character wouldn't stand a chance, no matter how many times he practiced. If Lan Di was a playable character, the fans, including I, would be grateful. I would probably use him in a survival mode or something, just to take down everyone. Quick move and take a lot of damage. That's how I see him. Fukusan, Ryo Hazuki's colleague in martial arts. For the fans that knows him, y'all might disagree with me on this because of his personality. He's nice, a bit of an amateur, and sometimes he's a bit awkward, in my opinion. But let's not forget, he did fight Lan Di in the beginning of the story. And he is a student of Iwao as well. Therefore, he knows the same technique as Ryo. Clearly, Ryo is better than him. However, Fukusan is always in the dojo, practicing, working on his craft. As a matter of fact, he kept on encouraging Ryo to continue his training and to spar with him, especially when Ryo was depressed about losing his dad. Fukusan was always there. If you enjoy playing as Ryo, then Fukusan wouldn't be that much of a difference, in my opinion. Tom Johnson, a good friend of Ryo Hazuki. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. Some of you guys are going to laugh, others are going to think that I'm trolling. But that's right, I do believe that Tom Johnson, TJ, is a fighter, and I do choose him as a playable character. Why? You guessed it. He did teach Ryo a technique called the tornado kick. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a gimmick. That doesn't mean you're a fighter. Anybody could do it. That's a good point. However, Tom does teach Ryo the benefit of that move. He said it's good when you're surrounded by multiple opponents. And at the same time, Tom already knew about Ryo's situation. He knew he was looking for his dad's killer. He was probably thinking, let me teach my friend a technique that might protect him in the long run. And after teaching him that technique, they both had a serious conversation about what he's doing and why is he leaving Japan. And Ryo told him that he did it because he's looking for his dad's killer. He knows where he is. If the tornado kick technique was just a gimmick, I don't believe Tom Johnson would waste his time teaching his friend that. And if that's not convincing, therefore, there is a lady that goes by the name of Honey Jackson. She is a black lady that works for Tom in his hot dog stance. She told Ryo a story about how she was being harassed by a couple of gang members called the Mad Angels until Tom came and protected her. I wish she gave more details on what Tom did and how he did it, but something told me that Tom must have kicked the flavor out these guys. But I guess the question is Tom a fighter? But you let me know. Put your comments down. And no, I'm not just saying that because he's black. Besides, Tom is not my favorite character. Guizeng Chen, a rival of Ryo Hazuki. This is another classic story about how a main character meets his match. In my opinion, I think Guizeng is better than Ryo. Reason being is because the guy is 30 years old, Ryo is only 18. Not that ages matter, however, Guizeng has more training experience. He appears to be very disciplined, sophisticated, and he's very mature. The only thing they have in common is that they both have fathers that knew martial arts. They both trained under their dad, which led them both from not trusting and liking each other to creating a bond and respecting each other and a friendship. Ryo versus Guizeng Chen. Who do y'all think is the strongest? Chai, the final boss of Shenmue 1. This creepy looking guy, despite how scrawny he is, ugly in the face, no shoes, and his outfit is just plain dirty and dingy. However, Chai is the first and the final boss in Shenmue 1. But I gotta admit, if he was a playable character, I would not select him, probably. Maybe it's because I do have favorite characters in Shenmue, but Chai is not one of them. I don't know about y'all, but when I fought him the first time, I didn't lose. However, it took forever for the fight to finish because he didn't have a life bar, so I couldn't tell whether I was winning or losing. I also looked online. A lot of people lost the first time. Shame. Anyway, I gotta give Chai his flowers. My reason is, he is in Shenmue 3, but he wasn't in Shenmue 2. He either plays an important role of the story, or I think somebody wanted him back. So shout out to Chai. because he's letting us know that he's not going anywhere. So I guess I'll see him in Shenmue 4. Shozo Mizuki, the homeless man. A homeless man who surprisingly knows martial arts and can't fight him in the game, but in the story, he teaches Ryo a technique on how to avoid getting hit or jumped by multiple enemies. Ryo even spars with him. Can even lay a single hand or feet on Shozo. After watching them spar, I figured the homeless guy was pretty strong. However, that's not the only reason why I selected him. I did because of his wisdom. He basically taught Ryo that you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can learn a lesson from anybody, especially someone homeless. In other words, don't underestimate anyone. Pedro Warren, the right-hand man of his gang, Mad Angels. He's a 6'9" tall Mexican, weighing 287 pounds. He doesn't have a story that stands out, but I get to fight him in this challenge mode of Shenmue 1, where you have to fight 70 men. Pedro is the last one that you gotta fight, tallest and the strongest out of everyone. However, I couldn't forget this man. I don't know about y'all, but he was tough. Doing a bunch of wrestling moves, drop kicks, twisting your arms and legs. Man, this guy showed no mercy. His only background is being in this gang called the Mad Angels. He's not the leader, but he is the right-hand man. I think they should bring him back. What do y'all think?